It's 6th of February 2021. Tonight's show, we are discussing a team like Blackpool taking 4 points from another established championship side as the Pool cruise to a third home win in a row against the Robins at Bloomfield Road. Yesterday, I'm John Sproul, this is Seaside's podcast, match reaction show. Blackpool under to R3, Bristol City 1.
It's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome back to the Seaside's podcast match reaction show. Joe's on his phone for a change. He's on his old mic. Joe will just bring you in straight away. We've had a bit of mic bants with Tim. Forgot to give you a lead, so the audio is not going to be crisp, but we promise, we keep saying this, it's going to be better for next week. Welcome, Joe.
Sorry about that. I was just on Pornhub watching that first touch from Josh Bowler again. Absolutely filthy.
Oh, it was a joy to behold, wasn't it? Tim, how's your week been? Very foppish this morning for benefit of the audio pod. He hasn't washed his hair from a hard week. Sorry, he has washed his hair. Sorry, he's not putting his gel on. A hard week dueling with Boris at the dispatch box this week has taken its toll on you.
It's like taking candy from a baby dealing with Boris Johnson at the moment, isn't it? It is. Starmer must be loving it. He just must be loving it. It's like he doesn't have to make any effort whatsoever. It's just everything's given to him on the plate.
I tell you what, I almost have to respect it. I don't think I've had 16 parties in my life, let alone during lockdown. Fair play. Dude's got stamina. Probably, no, actually, I'm not going to say that. We were talking about litigation before, weren't we? So I'll stop right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
We don't want the writ in the post.
He has got a lot of kids, Joe, as well, so he has got stamina. You know
Hope for all of us.
Welcome, Gemma. Welcome, Ian. Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Lee. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Chris Harrison. Yes, it is 2022. I think I did say 2021, Mitch. I was too bedazzled by this HD Mitch that we can see on his new HD camera, kindly provided by our Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/SeasidersPod. Doesn't all go back to my drinking tab at the dog. It goes to things like that. So, apart from the lighting,
what have you done with your video, by the way? Your picture's a lot different.
It's gone massive. I was playing around here. What's that?
No, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just
Little John,
different.
Big John,
Cardboard box.
Little John, Big John. We could do this all night.
This is fantastic audio pod.
It's like a low budget video. There's some kind of Aphex Twin video from about 1998. John getting closer and further away for 9 minutes.
Right, Chris has just said who chose the man of the match shortlist. I know what he's on about. There was a lot of feedback, shall we say, coming back on Twitter at me for picking the shortlist that didn't include Kenny Dougal for the man of the match. For me, he was just all right. I don't know what everyone else thought. We'll come to this later. He did really well. Don't get me wrong. He was good. One of his assists was a corner. Let's be fair, anyone can take a corner. I just thought he's
not usually in a tangerine shirt. They can't, especially at home.
Well, yeah, obviously. I've just seen him play better. But we'll come to that anyway. Let's go on to the game. Match reaction show. As Amax said, these pods aren't as good. These pods aren't as good when we keep winning.
Yeah, we can't have a rant in the same way, though, can we? I get
I'm
the
sure
point
I'll
seeking
find
to make.
something to moan about. I always do.
Now, Joe, did you have anything to moan about this when you saw this match day 11? Grimshaw, Gabriel, Keogh, Thornley, Sterling, Dougal, Connolly, Bowler, Hamilton, Yates, Medine, and on the bench, Moore, Casey, Robson, Dale, Kirk, Beasley, and Lavery. So a couple of changes from Fulham. Lavery obviously making way onto the bench. Big Gaz back in. Yates back in. No place for Potato, we thought at first, but he was injured. But your thoughts on that lineup?
Apart from Ekpiteta not being in the starting lineup, I was actually happy with it, which I find worrying because every week I'm like, why has he gone with that lineup? And we end up getting a good result. So the fact that I thought, oh yeah, I like that, probably thought, oh, we're probably going to get beat now. But no, I'm very happy with it. I thought Thornley played very well at Fulham. And thank you very much to Oxford United and their manager for keeping him nice and warm and getting some minutes under his belt. That was very good of Carl Robinson. And
Brannigan scored again, didn't he?
Don't really care, to be honest. He's not our player.
We'll
more
be getting him at the end of the season.
Players.
They don't come up, Joe. He'll be wearing tangerine next season. Don't worry about it. But Tim, over to you. We were on. We've switched back to a 4-4-2 at home, which is kind of understandable, isn't it? You scuttled in the Bloomfield. You scuttled into the Bloomfield club late again. Now dry January for you is over, where you completely abstained from alcohol in the whole month of January.
Well, not quite a dryish January it was.
Ashley wasn't happy about that, was he?
No,
you claiming you were doing dry January. Anyone who was in the WhatsApp chat group for the party boat will know what I'm on about. Which I swiftly left after that argument.
He had a little rant, didn't he? But...
I was like, said to him, why has he targeted you? What's his beef? Is it because you tore Boris to shreds at the House of Parliament the other week?
Yeah, could be something to do with that, couldn't it? Because he does quite a good Boris impression himself. So, anyway, back to the game.
Yes.
I think I'm with Joe on this. I think, it was for me. I was glad to see Yates get a start. I think, and obviously, His Holiness Gary Medine back in the side as well. So I was quite happy with the lineup. To be fair, I could understand why he sort of rested Lavery. It's just about keeping everybody fresh and keeping everybody playing, isn't it, at this stage? And obviously the Ekpiteta straight away it was he must be injured because I think he would have started otherwise. It'd have been interesting how he'd have dealt with the Thornley Sterling issue if he'd had Ekpiteta fit, but obviously as it happened he didn't have to make a call on it, and I don't know whether he'd have tried Jordan at left back or whether they'd have stuck with Dujon, but I suspect it'd have done the latter. But yeah, I was quite happy with the way it lined up, and I was quietly confident going into the game.
David Scholes, just want to read that out. Well done, David. Dry January with occasional showers, Tim.
Yes,
Love it.
I think the fact that you've got your mother's 80th in the middle of the month and where she's having a party, and then Fulham, it was always doomed to failure. To be fair.
Mitch, let's just have a quick look at this comment from Tom Johnson. We've had 5 of our best 11 missing. Maxwell, Marv, Husband, Stewart, Keshi. Most would make it into the starting 11 man there fit. It's a great point from Tom there, isn't it?
It is. I think everybody knows. I think everybody knows what we're missing. Everybody knows that sort of we're short of some things, but what we do with what we have is remarkable. And it's the same pattern as last year, where the more players we lose, the better we seem to get, which is strange.
Okay, Joe, how do you think we started this game? Nothing of particular note brings to mind. Let's have a quick look down the feed there. Apart from that, on 2 minutes, almost ideal start for the Seaside as CJ races down the left, finds Joe Yates, who lays the ball shoot saved by the keeper.
Yeah, similar to
pretty well, didn't we?
Very similar to the goal we got at Fulham, that with CJ tearing down and squaring the ball. Yeah, it was unlucky, and we started off really positively. I thought it was the only chance I really remember them was kind of having that breakaway where Grimshaw probably made the only real save that he had to do in the match. Apart from that, I thought we got off to a very good start. We're passing it about well, considering how wretched the weather was as well. When I saw how the weather was going into the game, I had flashbacks of Luton at home which wasn't our finest performance this season. But no, I felt we dealt very well with the conditions. And from minute one, you could tell that Critchley had told them to get at them, because as much of a threat as Bristol City do have going forward, and they have got some very good players up top, they're very, very leaky at the back. And I think when you've got players in decent form, like CJ Hamilton and like Josh Bowler, he's going to just say, lads, get the ball and get at them. And they looked terrified every time either of them two got the ball and went forward.
I mean, Tim, over to you then. The start of the game and run up to the first goal from CJ. We're obviously a bit concerned about the lack of creativity in the central midfield, but when you've got the likes of Bowler and Hamilton are playing as well as they are at the moment, I don't think it's a big concern, as it gives them more of a license to get up the pitch if you know they're going to be dropped in and covered by the one of more defensive midfielders. And I thought Conley did a very good job yesterday.
Yeah, I thought that that the fact that CJ was able to get that run in very early on, I saw that was a massive positive, because it was like picking up where he left off last week. I think my abiding memory of the sort of first 20 minutes or so was thinking how far we'd come, because when we played Bristol at the beginning of the season, it looked like men against boys. And
I think you better just clarify Bristol City rather.
Yes,
than
Bristol City.
Bristol.
I should add.
You don't want to go
don't want to get into that argument again, do we? No, but in all seriousness, this is before the goal. That was I was watching us play, thinking how much more polished and how much more of a championship team we look now than we did back on whenever it was 6th of August or whatever. Because I did fear for us, even though we ended up drawing that game, I did fear for us, because we did look like fishes out of water. We really did. And Bristol are an average championship side, aren't they? They're not a great side. So I was thinking, I feared for us, but we did look. I thought all over the pitch we looked, had a bit of a swagger, confidence in our abilities, and we've got players who are playing it as a team to a formation, clearly getting very, very clear and unequivocal instructions as regards what's expected. And it's good to see. I think we're starting to really see Critch's impact on this side. And as Tom touched upon before, so I think there might be debate as to whether Maxwell's first choice these days, but he makes a valid point. A team that has Stewart missing, Keshi missing, every single left back in the club missing, then we're not doing bad, are we?
I think I actually prefer Sterling at left back. I think he's better at left back than he is at right back.
I do.
It's weird, because
he used to frustrate me at right back, because he would never he'd get a nosebleed if he went over the halfway line. He seemed to have an issue with going over the halfway line, but he seems to maybe doesn't push on quite as much as Jordan does, but he looks very accomplished. And we get Jordan in the team as well, because obviously my issue was that I really rate Jordan Gabriel, and I don't want to see him out the side. So in a albeit a rather circuitous way, we've ended up with getting the best out of our fullbacks.
We have, Mitch. We have the. I think Tim's point is valid there about not about the game itself, but he's right, isn't he? That we do look like an established championship side now, and we look like we can ease into these games, and we're not worried. I think we would be worried by facing the likes of Bristol City, and we've come a long way for me since that Coventry game when we looked completely outclassed. When I thought this is the game we'll be competing in.
Yeah, and I think we probably haven't controlled a game that well all year, apart from probably the Preston game. Really, I think we were dominant, and this is a slightly odd thing to say. We were dominant without looking sort of absolutely brilliant, if that makes sense. We just looked better than them without playing out of our skins. Whereas if you go back to some of the results we got early on, when it started to turn sort of in September and October, we got results where we certainly didn't control games, and we got results looking like we were absolutely playing out of our skin, looking like everybody was giving sort of 120%, and we were getting results kind of against the odds with these sort of mad bursts of play. But we just looked better than them, and that was really enjoyable to see. Because it does suggest they're a sort of a lower mid-table side, like people would probably have as us down as, and we were comfortably better than them. I mean, they weren't at it, to be fair. I mean, they're better than they showed, but we made them look really quite mediocre, which was lovely to see. Also
lovely to see Joe as one get over that lovable character. Nigel Pearson, the Bristol City manager. I'd love to have seen a camera trained on his face when CJ bagged his first. And it was a nicely worked goal as well. Good to see CJ getting on the score sheet.
Yes, you are indeed an ostrich, as he once put down somebody in a press conference. Don't know if you remember that. Very strange character, isn't he?
Yeah.
But it was weird because I watched his press conference on Bristol City's YouTube, and he was going on about how they were poor goals to give away, and maybe defensively I can understand what he says, but I thought that we played really well and took our goals very well. The first being an example of how unselfish a player Jerry Yates is, where maybe at the beginning of the season he's trying to head that towards goal, but he just cushions it across the face for CJ to tap in. A chance that he'd probably have missed a couple of weeks ago. You can tell that the confidence is coming back with how he's performing recently. And like Tim said, he basically picked up where he left off at Fulham.
Yeah, Tim, with CJ, it wasn't just the goal, was it? I think it was his all-round performance in the first third of that match. He was really on it, wasn't he? He was a lot more confident running at players and with the ball, and it was great. It was just great to see him back to his usual self from the back end of League One.
And good for him to get a goal, because I think when I watched the highlights before, they said it was like December 2020, his last one. So obviously a lot of that time he has been out injured, but obviously at Hartlepool and in other games he's perhaps missed chances that you might, that going back to 2020 he might have scored. What I liked about, just going back to the goal, what I really liked about the goal was it was great work by Bowler to start off with, not just letting the defender play it out. He chased him down, he forced a mistake out of him, forced him to clear it quickly, and then Jordan puts a great cross in as well. It's a really good ball to the back post. So it was like another example of when we spoke last week about we forced Fulham into an error. And I think as we're going to talk about, we did it with the second to a degree as well, but it was perhaps more noticeable with the first that Bowler but it'd be very easy for Bowler just to let that defender play the ball out, but he put the effort in, he closed him down. They're very, very fearful of him anyway, aren't they? So he just he rushed his clearance, and we capitalised.
I think it's an extra dimension Bowler has added to his game since we started slagging him off a bit on air. He's doing extra work and he's chasing down lost causes, putting tackles in, and he even got booked, didn't he, for putting a tackle in. I quite liked that. I quite like the fact he got booked.
And he's making his decision making seems to improve for me. Where 2 months ago, shall we say, his decision making always seemed to be wrong. All of a sudden, I think again probably because he's got more confidence as a result of the way he's been playing. He's starting to make the right decisions, and he's, like you say, he's starting to put. I mean, you wouldn't have needed the Purcell on his shorts, would you? In the first half of the season, he never, he never went to ground. But we have seen quite a few tackles coming in. There was a last home game. There was a quite a vociferous one, wasn't there, towards the end? That's where we were holding on for the result, and so yeah, it's good to see. He's improved. I think we spoke in last pod about, Mitch was saying that, he's got all these areas he can improve, and certainly one of the areas he could improve was what he did, what he was doing when the opposition had the ball, and I think we're starting to see, and he's starting to see how effective he can be if he thinks positively about how he can retrieve the ball when we've lost it, rather than just, thinking, right, well, I'll wait until the next time somebody passes it to me, which was very much, I think, his attitude at the beginning. And it's just added
He's
a
becoming more of a
different
team. I
dimension.
think he's becoming a team. I think he's becoming a team player now, isn't he? Rather than an individual.
And he's always had the individualism, and so you get the decision making right, and you get the team play right, and all of a sudden you've got, a very, very valuable player.
It's an interesting.
He'll head it next. Imagine if he does a header soon, before the end of the season. That'd be incredible.
Mitch, let's come to you next. So we have to come to you next. Unfortunately, on this goal, after Josh has bagged that goal, I think I had 2 pints, didn't we? We all met in the Bloomfield club. A couple of pints in there, and I was at the point where I needed to go. So I thought, right, we've just scored. I'll just leg it now. No one down there.
Oh, John
Smith in Gary's finest.
Oh no! Hour. Oh my! Oh, well, that's just thrown me. I didn't know that. It was
a bittersweet moment. So there was no "it's Medine" from me, but I'm sure there was one emanating from the block that you sitting in the south.
Oh, there really was. I mean, when I saw you in the Bloomfield afterwards to get the webcam, you seemed a little down for the fact we'd won 3-1, but now it all makes sense.
Falling into place now, are they?
Yeah, absolutely. As Tim alluded to, it was really good work actually to win the corner from CJ. I mean, I can't remember what was exactly going on, but I can remember CJ throwing himself in with the keeper at the far post and sort of forcing a corner. Whether otherwise, again, like bowlers before, it would have been just very easy to let that phase of play go on. And then the corner, it was a nice corner from Kenny. It was nice and simple, swung in, and it was just possibly the most beautiful moment I've seen in football for many a year. He took a step back, he launched himself, he connected with it perfectly. Their defender actually dived and tried to claw it out with his hand, I think. And just Medine had headed it so hard that even if the defender even if 3 defenders had got in the way, they'd have ended up in the back of the net with it. And I went absolutely mental. And I think I nearly dislocated my lad's shoulder shouting "it's Medine" and trying to get him to see that lift him to see that Big Gaz was going to the corner flag. No, it was lovely. It was just that like classic old-fashioned goal, that classic centre forwards goal. That I'm struggling to think if he's actually scored one for us. I think the only other one I could think of was away at Fleetwood in lockdown, when Sully took a free kick and he just banged a header in. And it was the goal he's sort of always threatening to score, but doesn't ever quite seem to do so. So it was a beautiful thing.
There was the goal was very similar to that chance you've just. I can't remember what game it was. He did exactly the same. Like salmon, bullet header, and the keeper just got a hand on it. I think Jerry knocked it in at the far post. There was.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
I
feel like that might have been Peterborough, but I'm not sure.
Peterborough, yeah. But Tim. It was a great moment. It was a typical Medine goal, even though he's not scored many goals. Actually like that.
And it's great to see us score from a set piece, because it's not exactly been our forte, is it? So, good corner. I mean, the header is sublime. It really is. It's as good as you're going to get from any player in any division in that type of scenario. And like Mitch says, the power. I think the defender does try and claw it out, tries to do his Peter Shilton impression, but it didn't matter. I think he was going to hit the back of the net. Whoever was in the way, I think they would have been with him with the ball at the back of the post. I think if they got completely in the way of it, it was a rocket.
Joe, so we've gone 2-0 at half time. Bowler's just got, I think he got a book just before half time. That incident we were talking about, but 3 minutes into the second half, a lot of people just making the way back to the seats, and Josh Bowler's put the game to bed, really. What a goal it was. As you said, the first touch from Dougal's raking crossfield pass, pure filth.
Yeah, it's just top quality all around. I mean, the ball from Dougal must have been, 40, 50 yard pass. Bowler just stopping it, absolute dead, controlling it in front of him. There was like an audible gasp from the north stand when he did it. And then he went on his little mazy run, swivel of the hips, got past the defender and put the keeper firmly on his arse and tucks it in the bottom corner. Great goal. Goal of the season for me so far. It just outdoes Keshi's effort away at Sheffield United for me.
It was cleaner, wasn't it? It was just sort of, there was just something about the way he brought it down that was just cleaner than Keshi's.
Ridiculous. So yeah, that's another million on his
here we go.
price tag.
Here we go.
Sorry.
Flogging him off.
I mean, right, he's got a year left on his contract. Well, a year's option. Obviously, they're going to be negotiating on if he wants to sign a new contract or not. If he doesn't, he goes in the summer. Simple as that. And let's just enjoy him while we got him. Hopefully, it'll be for 2-3 years. If it's just till the summer, we got him for now. And it looks like the price is rising every performance at the minute. So it's a win-win situation for us.
I mean, Tim, big up to Simon Sadler anyway for not selling him for the reported 2.5 to 3 million. I mean, it'd been ludicrous for us to sell him for that price, and I think it's a brilliant sign of the times, which further backs up a statement you came out with last week that we've never had it so good at Blackpool, and I think you're absolutely right with that. These are great times to be a Blackpool fan, aren't they?
The sort of halcyon days, aren't they? In that we've got, we've because of where we've come from. I think we're all enjoying our football a lot more. We seem to have a huge connection going on between manager and players and the football club. I mean, for instance, when Josh gets substituted, I think he deliberately went to the east side so he could walk around the stadium because, and every credit to him for doing it because you've got as a footballer, particularly someone like Josh, who can be quite, and has been no doubt quite infuriating for other teams as well, is that, you'll get the stick and you'll hear it. And I think he's reminding me at the moment a little bit like someone like Charlie Adam was when he was with us in that I think he's thriving on the fact that we're so happy to have a player like him in the side. It's a little bit again like when we had Wes as well. And we're just giving like this effectively he's got unconditional support now, hasn't he? He's because he's doing it. He's doing it week in, week out, and some games it won't come off. But it would have, you've just got to lap it up. Joe's right. We lap it up for as long as he's here because I don't think he'll be here forever. Nobody is, are they? But we're watching a great talent, and hopefully he's got a fantastic career ahead of him, and let's hope it's 2 or 3 years with us before he goes on to no doubt bigger and better things, because he will, because Critchley's going to coach him into the player that he can be.
Just avert your eyes to the screen, gents. Chris McCulloch, I thought the club agreed a fee, but it was Bowler who turned it down. Has anyone heard what actually happened here?
There's two in the know journalists who've, I think one of them was that Nixon fella and another one, and they just they sort of disagreed with each other on Twitter. One of them said Bowler rejected the move. The other went, no, the fee was never agreed. So it's one of them where, unless Sean is lurking somewhere in the chat who knows the score, may or may not know the score properly, I think it's one of those we'll never know, because you've got two sort of in the know, for want of a better word, professional journalists saying the opposite thing. So who knows?
Tell you what we need. We need an accredited sports journalist to come here and tell us the truth. We want the truth. He's not lurking around because Gaz has scored.
No, he's going genning up on his entry quiz for Club Gaz.
He wants in now, Tim. He wants into Club Gaz now.
Well, no, I said it's this revisionism that we've seen from Sean in recent weeks. That it's a bit troubling. He should have the moral fibre to stick by his opinions, but they seem to have melted away.
They seem to have melted away like a promise to do dry January or something like that.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy.
Christopher Heaney said most exciting winger for us since Stanley Matthews. Obviously, none of us were. We are of a certain vintage on here, but not vintage enough to have seen Sir Stan play. But for
Christopher might well have done.
Well, if he has, it's an impressive statement, isn't it?
I know. I think happy birthday, Chris. By the way, I think he was 80 last week. So, he could well have done.
Happy birthday, Chris. Good to see you on YouTube and some of our seniors on YouTube. Good on you. Right, so that's the game then. Joe, the game's pretty much over, isn't it? From that moment in, we've had the odd scare here and there, but something else I want to talk about is the first change for Blackpool, which was on 61 minutes. Owen Dale coming on for Josh Bowler. Looked very tricky and very dangerous and very hungry when he came on. Impressed me. How was it for you?
Yeah, did all right.
Okay. Next debut. A debut now on 67 minutes. Come on, let's have a bit more about Owen Dale. Tim, Mitch, Owen Dale.
Yeah, he did. He had a bit more than he'd shown in other games aside from Reading. In some of the other games he's played, he just seemed to sort of run into blind alleys and fall over a bit and look a bit frustrated. But he looked quite lively, and actually for the bit of play whilst CJ was still on, I thought we looked very dangerous, and I thought he linked really well with Jerry and CJ. And I think once CJ went, then that sort of killed the threat a little bit, because you've got both wingers gone and a lack of pace. But yeah, I thought Dale looked good. He looked tricky, like you say, and point to prove kind of bit of energy about him, which hadn't necessarily been there in all his performances, which was nice to see.
Tim, anything to add about Owen Dale?
I thought we tapered off a lot when we made those substitutions, but I don't think it's necessarily down to Dale. I think the conditions deteriorated quite significantly in the last 30 minutes, and what was difficult conditions to start with became, increasingly influencing the game, and it's difficult sometimes when you're in a stand to actually quite appreciate what it's like out in the middle of the pitch, and so I do think we stopped function as well as a team, and at the end of the day, when you're a winger, you're expecting and you need to get the ball. I don't think there seems to be large chunks of that last 30 minutes where the ball just seemed to be in our last third, or most certainly in our defensive half of the pitch. So I don't think perhaps he got the opportunity to shine as much as he would have done if he'd been involved in the first half when we were, significantly on top.
Okay, let's move on to Charlie Kirk then. Joe, maybe a few more words on Charlie Kirk than your in-depth analysis of Owen Dale.
I think he did all right, yeah. No, to be fair, I mean, these players have come on with limited time when the game's 3-0 up. They're all attacking players. There's not much emphasis on attacking. To be honest, I thought when the third goal went in, we pretty much played within ourselves, second gear. Don't get me wrong, we did venture forward in that, but I thought we just kind of, like Tim said, lost our attacking emphasis. There wasn't really that. I think it was more conserving energy because we've got a game on Tuesday. We didn't go hell for leather because the game was won.
Yeah. It's understandable, isn't it?
I think initially we did for sort of 5 or 10 minutes. We were going at them, and then I think we just kind of petered out. And I thought it was once Bowler and Hamilton gone off, because neither Kirk or Dale are the same player. They're not pace merchants. They're more, they're a bit more technical. And I think that whether it was that was what really scared Bristol City to death. And that was what was one of the game, was that pace on the flanks, and then we didn't have the pace on the flanks. But actually, I thought we were going to get another one for 5-10 minutes, and then it petered out. I don't think we stopped trying to attack. And if anything, I thought that we were maybe a little tiny bit naive if you want for the perfect performance, because I thought we didn't necessarily just kind of bring it down and knock it about and keep possession and slow the game down. It's sort of
We started to sit back, didn't we? Like we've
and knock it long and without the pacey players, it was kind of a bit pointless. But I mean, I'm not criticising that. It was just an observation.
I think it's same as Joe's just said. It's keep your players fresh for Tuesday, as we have got a tough game against Coventry on Tuesday night, haven't we?
Yeah, and Tim Wrigley in the comments just made a valid point. You know, Lavery doesn't come on the pitch. I think Brett made a point about that at the end of the game. About they didn't even bring Lavery on. That shows the strength and depth we've got now. But when you've got games coming thick and fast, we've got Coventry, and then we've got Bournemouth. Two pretty tough games, to be fair, against sides who Coventry well and truly did us last time, didn't they? And Bournemouth are in a difficult vein of form at the moment. They're struggling a bit, but they've just recruited a lot of players. We can expect a very, very tough game when they come up here next week. So it is about keeping everybody fresh, and I think Lavery will start on Tuesday. And it's right that you withdraw Bowler and CJ, because when they're in the form that they're in, you want them to be fresh for those games as well.
Mitch, Big Gaz withdrawn on 82 minutes for his understudy and eventual replacement. I know it's hard to say; he's not going to live forever. But Jake Beasley, is he the Medine in waiting for you, based on the cameo 8 minutes he was on the pitch for, 8+5? Yeah,
I really like the look of him. I thought he reminded me a lot of a young John Murphy. I've seen somebody on Navy FTT put that as well. As soon as I saw him, it was just the way he jumped for the ball was very Murphs-esque. But he was a bit more rapid than Murphs, and indeed Big Gaz. And I thought his movement was very good. And he could have been in. There was one where I think it was Keogh saw him in space, sort of knocked a nice ball forward, and Yates had sort of got his back to it, seen it, and so, I'll have a flick on that. And it was heading straight through to Beasley, who'd sort of lost his man really cleverly. I really like the look of Beasley. I mean, I think with Kirk, I couldn't really, I couldn't make my mind up either way. But Beasley, I thought, I like him. He's going to be a long way from being the finished article. He's a long way from having Medine's nous and all of that. But I thought he looked handy for a player out of League Two making his debut.
And what a player to have as your mentor, eh?
Absolutely.
Big Gaz as your mentor, yeah. Joe, you just put in our private chat, mega lols. Bournemouth have been knocked out of the FA Cup by
Boreham
Wood. Joe, I'd love it if Bournemouth sort of, they spent all this money, they've got all these new players in. Sometimes it doesn't work, does it? Too many egos squashed together. No team spirit.
When they bring them all in, they've got to, at some point, they've got to play them. And if they're going to play them, that means leaving out players who will no doubt feel that they should be playing already. And it's going to be interesting to see. I think they made 8 or 9 changes for today's game from what I just read in the, I think it was something on Twitter when I was just flicking through before the show started. So they have, but their 8 or 9 changes might have involved playing some of these guys that they've signed. Obviously Dembele on the face of it looks a good signing. But yeah, they've got a massive squad anyway, and you start thinking you've got to knit that into a team that actually plays for each other, haven't you?
That Suiki Dembele, I just thought he's all right. He's not the kind of the world beater a lot of people go on about. It would be interesting to know how much they'd paid for him. Mitch, you probably saw their token goal most at the end. It was down at your end. Naki Wells coming on. He's got a habit of scoring goals, hasn't he? Not to one end, just for a consolation. No real threat that we're going to go on and get an equaliser, though, was there?
No, there wasn't. It was slightly sloppy. It was one of them
where Richard, it was a bit of a mistake, didn't he?
Well,
Balls.
I don't know. I don't know who it was, but I had a feeling that we'd sort of lost players at the far post, and I also had it was one of them where we just seemed to stand off as they put the ball in. But it, like you say, it was at half time. I was actually quite nervous. I was expecting, 2-0 up, dominated the game. You know how the script goes. They make a change, they bang in 3, and we all go home fuming. And as soon as Bowler scored, all my nerves went. And even when that goal went in, I just was kind of like, oh well, oh well. And then we just seemed to just kill it and just sort of knock it about a bit. And I can't remember them really actually even mustering attack after they'd scored. So yeah.
I think it was Keogh who he headed it, didn't he? But he only sort of came off his head and goes as in our defensive side, goes to our left hand side. I don't know where Dujon was.
There was a lot of sort of wandering about, looking at each other. Once sort of the poor header had been made, everybody just sort of looked at each other, and Wells wandered in and scored.
But we've one thing I noticed yesterday, we'd only scored 13 goals at home all season prior to that game, and isn't it good just to go into a final 20 minutes of a game not feeling totally stressed out with a very fine margin?
Have we actually got? I think we're actually on neutral goals now, aren't we? Because I'm sure we were -2 before. Maybe I'm wrong.
We're on -2.
Oh, we're -4. It's Preston on -2, wasn't it? Because they were above us on before their midweek draw.
Took the gloss off our win yesterday. Them winning at Hull.
Don't care about them. All I'm bothered about is us winning, and all I'm bothered about is us beating them again. Then they can shove the mind the gap stuff up their arse.
It's winding up well, isn't it? We're both teams in form. If it stays that way,
are they in form? 2 wins in 8. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've watched a few of their games, and they look a much better team under Ryan Lowe, who's a good manager. But they're drawing a lot of games. I mean, beating Bristol City at home, it's not for everybody, is it?
I've got to say, it was quite funny. I was watching Paul Merson on Tuesday night, and he was so disparaging of Millwall Preston about how crap both teams were that he said he was coming out of retirement. He was going to get down the gym tomorrow.
That's 90 minutes of my life I will never get back. Then missing the penalty was the only thing that happened in the game.
Did you see the Danny Baker tweet on it? He said, "I'm just back from the den. A game of 2 halves, both shite." Which I liked.
Excellent. Right, let's move on to the player ratings section of the show. Let's start with Tim. You can have Grimmy.
Yeah, he probably didn't have as much to do. There was a decent-ish save in the first half, wasn't there? Other than that, it probably one of the easiest games he's going to have in a Blackpool shirt, I think, because we were so dominant in that first 60 minutes that I struggled to think of a meaningful chance that they had. So
they were very poor in front of goal. The chance they did have, they were one of the worst stats I've seen this season, actually. Yeah, just shooting high and wide, and
so he did nothing wrong. But he didn't have the opportunity to do anything exceptional, which is actually quite, from our perspective, is a sign of a good performance, anyway, isn't it? So I'll go an 8.
I'm just laughing at that. It's better than the Great Pottery Throwdown. That's your new moniker.
Palpably not.
Hubert, disappointed. Okay, next Jordan Gabriel, Mitch.
Yeah, he had a very good game.
Great cross for the goal as well, for the first goal.
Yeah, absolutely lovely cross. That there was shot first half where he sort of overlapped, and he looks like he's been working on his shooting, because he was one of the worst finishers I think I've ever seen. But he's had 2 on target in the last 2 games, which is good. I can't really remember him defensively doing anything wrong. I thought he played really well, so I'll go for a 9 for him.
Yeah, I'd agree. I thought Gabriel was one of our standout performers. It seemed to go a lot under the radar with a lot of supporters, which is why I put him on my shortlist. Richard Keogh, Joe. Crazy Uncle Richard.
I'm going to give him an 8. I thought he had a good game. Taking over the armband from Marv.
I think he's a more natural captain. I think he's more of a leader than Marv.
I mean, I don't know if you watched the preview show on the official website, but
he's mad, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's mad as a box of frogs.
He was saying that he's kind of mentoring Marvin, and he doesn't mind Marvin having the armband. He thinks that it's actually helped Marvin grow into that central defensive role a little bit more, having that bit of added extra responsibility. But yeah, thought Keogh had a good game. Everybody loves Keogh. Everybody was wrong about Keogh at the start of the season. I'll put my hands up. And yeah, he was good. 8.
Well muted. Jordan Thornley, Tim, like he's never been away.
And what a good decision it's proving to have brought him back. He's actually starting to look like the player that we thought he could be when we first signed him, and then he wasn't. He was very highly regarded by Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, massively.
Do you remember?
He could. They were talking about him. He'll be a captain before you know it, and we're really sad to see him go. And when he came in, I never thought he got the run in the team he perhaps deserved to establish himself. I think he was always seen. There's always these players at Blackpool, aren't there, who never quite are given. I don't feel are given the same opportunities as others. I don't think, for instance, Grettison's been given the opportunities that other players have had. But obviously, Critchley apparently spends hour upon hour studying every single facet of the game, as you might imagine. One of my friends who I was with on Saturday was up in the hospitality section just pre-match for a short while, and apparently Critchley was beavering away at 1 o'clock or whatever. Videos and from different sections of the game 2 hours before kickoff, or 3 hours, whatever it was, 2.5, 3 hours before kickoff. So he's obviously, very, very dedicated, and he must know who he wants to play and what. But I just felt that I think Thornley's finally showing what he can do for Blackpool. I think he keeps playing like he's doing, and he's going to be in the starting 11, isn't he? At the end of the day, fantastic. So I was a long ramble without a score, that wasn't it? I don't know. It's just me. I was rambling a little bit because on my screen at least you go off. You keep going off. I don't know whether you're doing it with each other as well. So I was waffling until you came back on. I'm going to go for an 8+.
Oh, that was piss funny. 8+ for Jordan Thornley from a rambling Keir Starmer. Hopefully you're a bit more succinct on Wednesday at the next PMQs.
Well, that's just all I have to keep on saying is that you're socially distanced from the truth, and which is the best line I think anybody's ever come out with. It's quality of that.
Wheeling the drinks trolley. That's one of my personal favourites. Getting it past the plates of sandwiches. Oh dear. Right, where are we? Dujon, Sterling, Mitch. Another fine performance at left back from the young Chelsea starlet.
Yeah, he did well. And he's a boy who loves defending. I like a defender that likes defending. I mean, we all like flying wing backs, don't we? They're great fun and all of that. But yeah, I like a player that gets his foot in, gets stuck in. And he's never easily beaten. Thought he played really well. I read in the comments that somebody said he lost his man for the goal. He may or may not have done. I don't know. But I thought
game's over then anyway, innit? So.
Yeah, it is. I think 8+. I felt 8, but I'm going to give him a plus because he's playing out of position. So 8+.
Fairs. Right, Kenny Dougal, Joe. A lot of people were slagging me off for not giving him the man of the match. Penny, for your thoughts on King Kenny? Not that I'm saying he played badly. I just want to get that out there. He played very well.
You flaming galah.
Are you saying that because Neighbours has just been shit canned by Channel 5?
I didn't even know it was still on these
has,
days,
yeah.
to be honest. Yeah. All right. I thought he had a very good game. Just that cross alone. 2 assists. We scored off the corner, for crying out loud. Yeah, I think he had a very good game. I will give him an 8+.
Ooh, harsh.
It's not
I
harsh
think
at
that's
all.
about right.
No, I thought it was
There
superb.
was just a few. He played very well, like I said, but I've seen him play better, and there was quite a lot. There was quite a lot of misplaced passes that people are blinkered to.
Wembley was a 9+ for me.
Yes.
So yesterday was an 8+.
Yes.
Harsh.
Yeah.
Tim, international fan of the Kenny Dougal, international chairman of the Kenny Dougal.
Can I lodge a formal appeal against that score, please? I'll submit my my written grounds of appeal this evening, and we can deal with it on the next pod.
Do what you want, I ain't changing my mind.
Might start making a Jimmy Savile comment, Keir, if you're not careful. But I won't.
We can reconvene in the man of the match panel, I think, on this one.
Yes. You were acting like the speaker there, Mitch. Keeping order, keeping us back on track with a simple, sensible solution to this debate. Right. Callum Connolly, Keir Starmer. I mean, Tim Fielding.
I'm starting to warm to Callum in this central midfield role.
I thought he played very well Saturday.
Yeah, it's. I preferred the performance against Fulham mainly for the reasons that because of the way that we set up, and I think, as I said, then it probably suits the two of them when we play a 5-3-2 or a variation that allows them to sit deeper. But he's growing on me. I'm not going quite as high as Richard, but I'm gonna give him a 9-. So I thought he was very, very competent on Saturday.
Stripping off Mitch.
9-, and you just say competent.
Very competent.
Very, very competent.
Yeah, it's a 9. You don't use the word competent and 9 together, do you? I know what Joe's saying there, Keir.
Yeah, well, it depends on the role the players play in, though, surely, doesn't it? Because if you've got 11 players that are there to entertain, if your goalkeeper is trying to beat people and score with a scorpion kick from the edge of the box, then that's not what you want. And Connolly is not there to wow us and amaze us. He's there to make tackles, win headers, and give the ball to the better players. So therefore, within his role, we're always going to see him as at best competent, probably.
Look, I promised the listeners, the viewers, conflict. Something to moan about after yesterday's great performance.
And Dougal was better than Connolly, but
he was.
It's all about opinions. Football's all a game of opinions. Mitch, what was your opinion on Josh Bowler, our flying winger, yesterday, continuing his fine form?
Well, I just think it's a shame we didn't. It's a shame we didn't cash in on him while we had the chance and balance the books.
We'd got 2.8 million. We could have written off the losses on the balance sheet.
Absolutely, we wouldn't have got that beautiful goal and that really rather magically moving moment as he came off the pitch and the whole ground, applauded, sung his song, and he high-fived the kids along the front of the stand with a grin on his face. I mean, what's that worth compared to a transfer fee? There we go.
By the way, did he grab the badge as well at one point?
I believe he did. Yeah.
When he scored, he was giving it all of that and that. But Mitch, there is one thing I will say: you can't sign players with high-fiving kids.
No, well,
going down that Jimmy Savile route here again, aren't we?
We are. I think we should move on from this one. And we're not protected by parliamentary privilege, are we? So we'll move on. No, I thought he played really well again, and I think probably as much as that goal was one of the best goals I've seen in a long, long time, and probably one of the, if I put my mind to it, probably one of the, it would be in my top 10 or top 15 goals that I've ever seen. Actually, that moment of control was just stunning. I actually thought that the bit that Tim picked out before, the little dig out on the touchline was in a way as impressive. I thought struggling to think what he did wrong. 9+. So played beautifully, played brilliantly, but I still don't think he's man of the match.
The three-step shimmy he did, like bang, bang, bang. It put the defender on his arse, and the goalie. They both didn't know where they were.
The goalie sort of dived for a shot.
The goalie was like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah. If you watch the replay back, it's like when you put a hopeless kid in nets and they just got to dive randomly after that, and it just makes him look idiotic.
It was pure class. I'd be giving it a 10. I'd be giving him a 10 if I was
I could be talked up, but even if I gave him a 10, I'm still not giving him man of the match.
CJ Hamilton, Joe. The sponsors man of the match, CJ Hamilton, and I think he also won the vote on the CCN's podcast man of the match. Your score for CJ, back in the groove.
If he'd have played a full 90 minutes or 80 minutes, then yeah, probably would have been man of the match, but he didn't, so I'm going to give him an 8+. I think he had a very good game. I think his confidence is back. Another player that I owe a huge apology for, in saying that he should never wear a Blackpool shirt again after the Hartlepool game. I'm man enough to say, in the heat of the moment, I was quite annoyed because he missed 2 absolute sitters. One of them, I probably would have finished. But to be fair, he's been excellent since then. He was great at Fulham, and he was really good again yesterday. So yeah, 8+. Great display.
I must say, 4+, 4- to your missus for putting on the washing on its spin cycle again. Can we hear it? Unmute yourself.
Every time. Sorry.
Let's have a bit of silence for a minute. Let's have a listen. 10 seconds. Yeah, he's got the washing machine has got stage fright. Right, Tim. Why am I looking at Jerry Yates? Jerry Yates, Tim.
Yeah, as I said at the start of the show, I was glad to see him back in the shirt because I really rate him as a player, and I think he when he plays well, we play well, and superb header back for the opening goal, and it was an industrious performance. I think he put himself about a bit. He had a decent game. An 8, I think.
God, it's funny how Medine always ends up on you, Mitch. It's
spooky, isn't it?
Spooky. Gary Medine.
I know. Yeah, well, I mean, I've said how much I enjoyed his goal. He had another one that would have almost even better, where CJ fizzed one over, and he really went full stretch at it, and he must have been the proverbial whisker away from it, which would have been quite something. I mean, look, for somebody that can't really run and doesn't move very much, he leads the line incredibly well. Another really, really, really strong performance. I think Yates is a different player if Medine's on the pitch. I think Medine and Yates is kind of the key to Yates in many ways. Thought he played excellently. I'm going to give him a 9 because he's not my man of the match.
Okay, right. Let's move on to the controversy. Man of the match. Let's start with Joe. As long as the spin cycle's finished.
No, it isn't.
We're going to do it this time.
It's gone to a new pitch this time, hasn't it? It's,
My man of the match for yesterday, I'm going to be really, really boring and go for Josh Bowler. because he's
I,
just.
I dig that. I dig that.
I know that Dougal had an excellent game. I know that CJ Hamilton had a very good game as well. Thought Jordan Gabriel had a decent game as well. There were lots of players that had decent games, which is good. This is what you want. You want to be scratching your head on who's man of the match. You want more than one player to have to pick out. But for me, I think everything went through. Bowler, I think his goal was one of the best. Like Mitch says, that you're going to probably see this season or any season. So yeah, just for that little bit of X factor, I'm going to go with Bowler. And I'm going to mute myself now.
It's good for the rising tension, isn't it?
It was. It's like a game show.
A crescendo of
Yeah.
It's like a game show. Like you go through the options for man of the match. And Tim, over to you.
Yeah,
I know what you're going to do.
I think it was a travesty that Dougal didn't make the cut, the cut of 4.
I did actually forget him when I was doing that little shortlist.
And despite what Joe said, what really impressed me, other than that, the obvious, with his raking pass out to Bowler, what impressed me was how hard he worked to get the ball back when he lost it, and or the team didn't have the ball. I thought he was, and when he got it, he did stuff with it as well. I just think he was a class above anybody in the centre of the pitch on Saturday for either side, and. We want Dougal to be playing at that level every single week, and if we do, it's an interesting. The Fulham fan in the chat said he can see us sneak into the playoffs. I don't know whether we've got that much in our locker, but if we're going to keep going the way we want to, and to beat the Nobbers and to have a great finish to the season, we need Dougal at his best. And for me, the last few weeks, he's back up there, and today was, for me, his best performance of the season. Oh, sorry, Saturday, obviously, the best performance of the season. So, man of the match.
Only 5 points off the playoffs, Tim. A chap on Twitter called Anthony, I think, he posted a little graphic. We're on the same points now as we were in the 2010 season, just after Christmas. Oh.
Teams didn't have 2 or 3 games in hand on us though back then, so COVID's kind of
Joe,
skewed the league table.
You said we hibernate over Christmas. We said that taught us. It's all coming true. Have faith.
Oh, I do have faith. I was one of the ones that predicted we'd get a draw at Fulham. I told you there were nothing to fear. Piece of piss.
I said only 11 men against 11 men as well.
There you go.
I backed the draw as well. Anyway, Mitch, we're getting a bit sidetracked. Your man of the match.
Super Kenny Dougal. He may have given the ball away, but that was a sign of him playing far more on the front foot, far higher up the pitch. That was one of the few games that we've played where we really won the middle of the pitch, completely won the middle of the pitch. They had very, very little came down there. Dougal was just insane in the way he just kept. They'd get the ball, play out. Dougal would win it back. He was like a terrier in there. And that first time pass, we keep saying that pass for the goal. That first time pass for the goal, absolutely stunning, and a half decent corner as well. I thought he was brilliant. And I'm not a fully paid up. I like Dougal, but he's not somebody I sort of absolutely worship. He's not Medine. I thought he was sensational yesterday, and that's on a day when Bowler scored one of the best goals I've ever seen, and Gary Medine scored scored direct, a bullet headed from a corner. So I think that says how well I thought that Kenny Dougal played. So I am having Kenny Dougal.
FOTMob agrees. If you have a look at the screen for the audio pod, I'll bring up the FOTMob player ratings, which I think they work out the totals based on stats and analytics. And Kenny Dougal was 8.9. He was the star player in that game. So can't argue with the numbers. That's what Sean always says. Right, finally, before we go, manager rating, Joe.
I would say a 9. He's obviously done his own work, seen where we needed to exploit their weakness, which was their defence, nullify their strong point, which is recently been attacked. They score a few, but they certainly let in a few. I think somebody posted before that the last 8 or 9 games, the average conceding 2 a game, which you're not going to win many football matches by doing that. So, yeah, he sent them out with a real positive frame of mind. It wasn't a beginning of Fulham 5-4-1 bollocks. We actually went for it from the get-go and we reaped the rewards. So, well done, Critch.
Tim, unbeaten in 2022, 3 wins at home on the bounce, point away at Fulham.
It's looking more and
Critch,
more
we
impressive,
trust.
isn't it? We're leaving out Hartlepool, are we?
Doesn't count. It's not a league game.
All right. Okay. So no, I think what impressed me. I think probably on reflection, what I'm most pleased about is his decision making over the substitutes, where we've won the game. He's pulled the guys who need a break. We've done some good circulation. You know, we've won the game comfortably. I think he said after the match, it's probably the most comfortable game we've had so far in the Championship. He obviously forgot about Preston, but it's an 8+ for me. I think it wasn't a tactical masterclass, which I'll reserve the 9s and the 10s for, but it was a very, it was almost like a bit of a coming of age game for us. I think in that we're starting to say we are an we're showing that we've got the ability to be an established Championship club, and he's the architect of that, isn't he?
Certainly is. Mitch, just to see the show out, your rating for Mr. Critchley.
I'll echo Joe and I'll give him a 9. Can't think of much else he could have done. Don't really know why I'm knocking one off, really, but yeah, 9.
Right, okay. That was the show done. Just in case we don't do a preview show tomorrow, we probably won't. We are playing Coventry on Tuesday night. Joe, you're going, I believe.
Yep, very happy the fact that Coventry had a long old trip to Southampton yesterday, and also had the added bonus of extra time. So, lovely stuff. Hope it wasn't a long, arduous journey for them back, and they're not all tired and well rested for Tuesday.
We don't have a great record down there, do we?
No, we don't. But I want to be honest. I'm going to say it, sod it. I fancy us to get something down there. I think the way we've been playing, and added to the fact that they went to extra time the other day, they were very unlucky by all accounts. They played very well at Southampton, and I've seen the Southampton winner an absolute worldie, so they'll be feeling dejected. They've gone off the boil a little bit as to their early form of the season, where they first 10, 15 games, it looked like they were going to absolutely walk the league. They look head and shoulders the best team in the league. They've got some good players. I mean, that Callum O'Hare, still think he's one of the best players I've seen at Bloomfield Road this season. Gorkarez, I know he's gone off the boil recently, but he's been scoring goals for fun at the start of the season. Gustavo Hamer, very good midfielder. It'll be a tough game, but the way we're playing at the minute, we shouldn't fear anybody. We should be going there confident, and we should be going there to try and pick up 3 points.
Well, they're getting frustrated. I followed a few of them on Twitter, and there's sort of a debate going on about that they're still playing really well, but they're not getting the results. And the sort of words like wasteful or naive, some of their fans are using. There's a bit of that debate where some of them, other fans are going, shut up, we appreciate what we've got and all of that. But I kind of fancy us as in like you, Joe, because I think we're just in that form at the moment where it seems like we're getting results. Yesterday, it's very unlike us, but I think we were quite clinical yesterday. So they're going to give us a chance. They're a team that play football. We're going to get opportunities, and we're in that zone for once where you think, well, if you give us some opportunities, we might get a couple of goals out of it. And they're in the kind of form where, it seems like, reading between the line, they'll have 7 or 8 opportunities and score once. So that's a preview based entirely on 3 or 4 Twitter comments from me.
Tim, if you look at the league table I've just put on the screen there, we are on equal points with them, 40, but they've got 2 games in hand, so probably a game we do need to be winning if we want any kind of realistic outside chance of hitting the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think I introduced the playoff issue mainly because the chap from Fulham on the pod tonight had raised it. I think that will be beyond us this year. I still think my prediction of a 10th spot is there or thereabouts where we'll end up. And listen, if I'm proved wrong and we're able to push in there, that's great. But I do think it's a bit beyond us. I'd take a point tomorrow. I'll say tomorrow, not on. I think we're on Monday night then. On Tuesday, I'd take a point. I'd be ecstatic with a win. I actually think we've got a better chance of on Saturday against Bournemouth than we have against Coventry on Tuesday night.
That's a very downbeat assessment, Tim.
No, it's not downbeat. I just think we've got more chance of beating Bournemouth on Saturday than we have beating Coventry on Tuesday night. Yeah, personally.
Can I ask a quick question? Mainly to Matt. Do you think we'll stay up? Are we safe now, Matt?
Well, I think we shouldn't tempt fate by talking about it or declaring ourselves safe. No, I think we are. It's 20 points in it.
20 points, yeah, to Peterborough. Yeah.
Put it this way: if we go down, then what we'll know is that we're all actually just figments of Bison's imagination at this point. If we go down from here, I think we can confirm that we're not real and we're all trapped inside his unique worldview. Bless him.
Right, on that mention of Bison's, on that note, let's call it a day. Please do like and subscribe to the show if you're watching this on YouTube. Hit the notification bell, helps us grow. It means you get notified whenever we do release new episodes. Also, if you like what we're doing here, we've got a Patreon supporter program, patreon.com/SeasidersPod. If you want to chuck in a few quid per month, helps out with our production costs. Gear upgrades and mic cables that I buy for Tim and he doesn't pass to Joe, but that's another matter. So all remains to be said is thanks for watching, thanks for downloading, thanks for listening, and up the pool.
Up the pool.
Whoa.